How often should the spark plugs of a car be replaced? What is the function of spark plugs?
What will happen if they are not replaced for a long time?
Some people say that after changing goods, the power of the car can be improved, and fuel consumption will drop. It's completely nonsense.
The function of the spark plug is similar to a flint, only responsible for igniting the mixture.
As long as it fires quickly, it will not affect the power. What determines engine power is always the engine's own performance structure, not the spark plug. Today we will explain in detail
The working principle and replacement cycle.
Boss, please give a like. Let's start to explain it.
The engine always works in a 4-stroke cycle. Intake, compression, work, and exhaust. When the piston compresses the air-fuel mixture
To the top of the cylinder,
the spark plug ignites this small group of mixture.
then the mixture explodes. The instantaneous thrust will push the piston downwards. This is the source of the engine's power.
Behind the spark plug is the ignition coil,
The function of the coil is to convert the 12-volt low voltage.
into 15 to 20 kilovolts of high voltage.
Then the spark plug releases the current to form an electric spark. The head of the spark plug
The head of the spark plug is divided. The central electrode is responsible for releasing,
and the side electrode is responsible for current. The gap between the center electrode and the side electrode, which is the condition for forming an electric spark for a new spark plug,
the gap between the center electrode and side electrode
is
between 0.9 millimeters and 1 mm. But the cylinder is a hyperhydrant.
every time the spark plug releases sparks,
Will corrode the center electrode and side electrode.
the metal material, the more times the spark is released,
The more the metal material will be corroded.
the gap will become larger. When the gap exceeds 2 millimeters, the conductivity will become weak,
The spark will be too small.
resulting in slow ignition. The mixture is not fully burned. Fuel consumption and power will drop, and even completely non-conductive, and no spark can be formed. The mixture in the cylinder cannot work and will be discharged without combustion. This situation is also called leakage. So the gap between the center electrode and
Is the gap between the center electrode and the side electrode. As long as the gap between the two electrodes doesn't increase,
the inner spark can jump out normally, the ignition can be successful. It won't affect the performance of the engine. As long as there is no increase in and power decrease,
it proves that the spark plug can still be used.
even if it's the same car, the same spark plugs, different road conditions, the spark plug wears out differently. For example, when driving, the spark plug of each cylinder
Ignites about 50,000 times.
but when driving 100 kilometers in city, the number of ignitions per cylinder is about 100 to 15.
So long-term high-speed driving and urban driving.
Consume spark plugs differently. In addition,
Some engines have stratified combustion technology to improve the combustion efficiency of the engine.
during one compression stroke, there are multiple ignition. For example, Volkswagen's EA,
It needs to be ignited 4 times.
the Mercedes-Benz M6 engine, 5 times in one working stroke.
Although it improves the combustion efficiency, it also shortens the life of the spark plug.
So different models.
Different road conditions consume spark plugs differently.
Moreover,
The lifespan of spark plugs of different materials.
so how often should we replace spark plugs? Is the replacement period? If you drive in the city for long, follow the original factory's replace spark plugs every 60,000.
It's okay to drive 1 or 2 more kilometers.
If you drive on the highway, it can run for 100,000 kilometers. However,
Different materials of spark plugs have a great impact, and different materials have completely different corrosion resistance.
iridium spark plugs should be replaced after 20 or 30.
Platinum spark plugs last 6 to 1,000 km.
Platinum spark plugs last 82.
Dual gold spark plugs last 10 to 15,000 km.
When replacing spark plugs, it is recommended to replace them. Will last longer.
Do you know more about spark plugs now?
Finally, boss.